Hello, welcome to Going to Ground with me, Andrew Rumsey. And in this fifth season of short films on place, faith, and landscape, I'm posting once, or if you're lucky, twice a week, rather than the old daily posts, as working life is pretty full. But it's nice to check in with you. I'd been hoping to sooner this week, but it's been a fascinating and full few days since I spoke to you from the island of Herm, that car-free, quiet patch of rock in the English Channel, and we got the boat back. Funnily enough, actually, it was I nearly missed the last boat from Herm. You'll be glad to know, because of recording Going to Ground. I was having a little moment of serenity with you all when I recorded that last week, and then I finished filming. I'd let the whole group go off to what I thought was the nearby quayside, but then I realised A, what the time was and how short a time it was, and then B, that the jetty for the boat back, the ferry back, was a long way further than I had thought it was. So I tore off, and the irony is, I have to say this. I'm afraid it breaks the spell somewhat, but actually there is a quad bike on a motorized quad bike that is used for by the farm. Not quite a car, but it was a bike, and we went back, and I thumbed a lift in the quad bike to get back to the jetty. It rushed down to the harbour just in time for the boat to take us back to St Peter Port on Guernsey. So there's sometimes a cost to a reflective moment. Anyway, it's good to be back in with you. And golly, what a day in nature today here in Wiltshire. Flash floods, torrential downpours. I've just been driving across from Marlborough to the beautiful village of Potton to see one of my clergy, and the road became a river, literally. I was driving through inches of water and nearly had to abandon the car, but decided to press on. I was glad I did, but it was really quite treacherous. Very stormy day here. But as I say, an interesting week touring around. And I was in Westminster yesterday for the Church Buildings Council, and in Church House next to the Houses of Parliament, just at the moment when the Prime Minister, poor benighted, beleaguered Prime Minister, was resigning, and actually passed by Downing Street at the moment she did. So I saw all the police and crowds and photographers and so on, and goodness me, what a mess. What a need for steadiness there is in the country at the moment, and for a sense of clear guidance and a pathway forward. It's been a week, a month of huge transition, of course, 2 months of huge transition for us in the nation. And I've been reflecting a little bit in these days on the way in which Christ spoke to his followers and gave them guidance. And I was really struck by a phrase in Mark's Gospel, Mark chapter 4, which you might know, where it mentions almost in an offhand way, he never spoke to them except through a parable. Never spoke to his followers except by a parable, which is a remarkable little verse to say that Christ only taught them in an imaginative, creative way. He when he talked to them about what the kingdom of heaven was like, which is his shorthand for his way of life, God's way of life, he always said it's like this. Didn't often say it is this, or if he did, he used a metaphor. So it's a seed growing quietly, or it's like yeast working through a batch of dough, or it's like treasure found in a field. He only spoke to them in form of a parable, in a story, in an imaginative conception. So it was like God's life was like something earthly and grounded, something sometimes, as I say, literally embedded in the earth that somehow transforms the earth. And I think that's fascinating, because in trying to discern what God is saying to the world and the church, we too, I think, need to use our imagination. We need to look at the world around us, look at everyday familiar things, and see what is this, what is the life of God like in what I can see around me, and read the landscape in a spiritual sense. And I do find that the what little insight I have, or the insights that I do have, arise, as some of you will know, from the physical landscape, the scenery, the situations that are present all around me. And it's a case of just trying to apprehend the hand of God, the voice of God within them, trying to discern what that's like. The more you do it, it's a bit like the other creative aspects of our life. I find it in songwriting or writing poetry. The more you do it, like getting fit, the more you do it, the more the muscle flexes and you get used to seeing it. And the more you see, the more you attend to the immediate environment in a spiritual sense, the more it speaks to you. And I would say, wouldn't I, that God speaks to me through it. I'm never sure whether it's God, but I kind of take it on trust that it might be. and in the way I talk to people and give sermons and so on, I don't ever say God is saying this, but I will say it feels a bit like this, and I love the way that works. So just the sight of that lane this afternoon with the river that was transformed in seconds into a river is an image that will stay with me, and might, I suspect, crop up in a reflection or in a sermon. But each of us can do that with our own situation wherever we find ourselves. Understanding the life of God, I take from the teachings of Jesus to be a creative endeavor of looking at the world around us and considering it in through the eyes of faith. That'll do for today. Probably I'm going to take a few days leave over half term, but I'll check in with you. I might even do a song tomorrow if there's time. I haven't done a song in this season yet, and I've been really enjoying doing some recording over the last few weeks, and hope eventually that will be released. Some of the songs that I've played on these little films have been recorded, and I'll tell you more about that in due course. But for now, dear friends, from my study on a windswept October afternoon, God bless you as you go to ground.